可能要失业了，今年的市场环境太不景气了。
Recently, I might be facing unemployment. The market environment this year is really unfavorable. From the beginning of the year until now, our store's performance has been consistently poor, and the management is planning to close this store. Today, the manager briefly talked to us, saying that the store's employees could be transferred to other branches and that we could choose where to go. But after checking, I found that the nearest store to our home still requires a 50-minute commute. Hearing this news really made me feel quite sad. When it rains, it pours. In the afternoon, I also had some stomach discomfort, and after returning home, I didn't feel like moving at all. Since hearing this news in the afternoon, my husband has been comforting me, telling me not to be too anxious and that we should take things one step at a time regarding the job situation. He said, "Don't you still have me? What are you afraid of when you have support? At worst, if you can't find a suitable job, I'll just work a bit harder. Relax, it's not a big deal. First, take care of your stomach discomfort." He told me to rest well and that he would make dinner. So my husband let me rest, and in the evening, he made stir-fried eggs with tomatoes, a cold dish, and millet porridge. Our family just made do with that for dinner. After my husband's reassurance, my mood improved a lot. Life is never smooth sailing, and all we can do is adapt to the situation. I really feel fortunate to have my husband by my side. With him around, I feel more confident.
想不到我的失业给老公带来了焦虑。
I didn't expect that after I lost my job, my husband would also become anxious, which leaves me feeling a bit at a loss. 6 months ago, when I was still working, we shared the economic burden of the household. My husband took care of the rent, and I covered daily expenses. Now that I've lost my job, all the household expenses fall on his shoulders alone. Over the past 6 months, he has repeatedly reminded me to look for a job, as he thinks my previous 5-day, 8-hour job was quite good, easy, stable, allowing me to pick up and drop off the kids, and with a salary of 6,000 to 7,000. Therefore, he hopes that I can go back to work as I did before. I can't help but wonder, are all men this practical? They want their wives to earn money to share the household burden, yet they also expect them to take good care of the children. It seems as if work and family can be perfectly balanced, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. However, only those who have personally experienced the struggles of being a working mother can truly understand the hardship. Daily life feels like a battle, always worrying about school holidays, calls from teachers, and the child getting sick. All these things require me to drop everything at work to deal with. We've entered middle age, and at this awkward stage of life, we have elderly parents above and young children below. I understand the pressure and responsibility that my husband is concerned about. In fact, over the past 6 months, I've sent out quite a few resumes, but I've received little response. Finding a 5-day, 8-hour job with no overtime, close to home, and allowing me to pick up and drop off the kids seems almost impossible. Rather than being anxious, it's more important to cherish the present and live each day well.
我告诉老公我失业后，老公居然这么做。
When I told my husband about my job loss, his reaction surprised me. Although I've decided not to dwell on it, I still feel a bit down about midlife unemployment. Over the years, I've become used to earning my own money and have never asked others for money. Suddenly losing my income made me feel a bit panicked and anxious. My husband noticed my mood and said, "It's okay, I'm here for you." The next evening, he gave me 20,000 yuan. I was stunned at the time. He said, "Use this first, and if it's not enough, I'll give you more. From now on, I'll give you a monthly salary. I'll make sure you never run out of money." This man has always been one to act quietly and do more than he says. For over 20 years of marriage, he has never restricted my spending. And even in tough times, he has never let our daughter and me suffer. In the past, I felt he wasn't romantic enough. So he started giving gifts and buying flowers on holidays. My husband often says, "Although I haven't provided you with a life of great wealth, I try to make your life more comfortable." In the end, what kind of life is truly happy? It's probably having someone who cares for you when you're tired, someone who is tolerant when you make mistakes, and someone who takes care of you when you're sick. So-called glory and wealth are nothing compared to having someone who loves and cares for you. I have never pursued great wealth. Having someone who loves and cares for me is the ordinary life I want.
失业半年了，我没有出去上班，也没有出去找工作。
I have been unemployed for 6 months. During this time, I haven't gone out to work or looked for a new job. A few days ago, a neighbor asked me, "Since you're not working, does your husband dislike you?" I wondered why my husband would dislike me. When we got married, we didn't have wedding rings, wedding dresses, or a wedding ceremony, and we certainly didn't have a bride price. We were essentially married without any financial or ceremonial frills. Moreover, after marriage, I had 2 children without the help of my in-laws. I took care of the kids while supporting my husband's entrepreneurial efforts. During the day, I took care of the kids, and at night, I accompanied him to sell barbecued food at a stall. Later, I stopped helping with the barbecue business and began working while still taking care of the kids. Every day, I had to manage childcare, household chores, and earn a living. Now I'm not working outside, I'm just taking a temporary break. Although I am not earning a salary right now, I am not idle. I cook meals for my husband, do the laundry for him, and clean the house for him. I'm simply not earning a wage at the moment. As a man, since he doesn't have to deal with household chores, he should be responsible for earning a living. If he really can't manage on his own and needs my help, it should be discussed properly rather than just blaming me.
有些话不知道跟谁说，只能在这里说说口。
Honestly, there are some things I don't know who to talk to, so I can only vent here. I haven't been working for 6 years. Today there was a job fair, and I decided to go and check it out. In the morning, I went with my child and husband because it's not very quiet at home with the child alone, and my husband was off today. He said he would take the child along. When we arrived at the venue, we found that there were very few companies at the job fair. I looked around a bit and interviewed with a few companies, but most of them were already filled or required experience. The companies seemed to think that my employment gap was too long and were reluctant to consider me. After a while, my husband started to get unhappy. He began complaining that I hadn't worked for so long, and now that I have no experience, it's hard to find a job. He also said that now I can't do anything, and what will we do in the future? He even mentioned wanting to send his mother back. His mother was originally here to help take care of the child, but now my husband said he wanted her to go back. He showed no understanding or support for my difficulties in finding a job. I was already anxious and frustrated about not finding work. Instead of comforting me, my husband kept criticizing me. He said that the whole family relies on him alone, and our life depends entirely on him. He also said that since the child is still young, there will be more expenses when the child grows up. He said that with me not working and having no social security, I would be a burden to the child in old age. I just went to a job fair, and he placed all this responsibility on me. Every time there's a problem, my husband never comforts me, only criticizes, attacks, and mocks me. It feels really wrong to live with him. Just because I'm having trouble finding a job, he brings up all the past and future problems, attributing all the faults to me, believing that I'm causing our family's difficulties and his career failures. He even said that if he falls or encounters any problems, it's because of me. In short, he can blame everything that goes wrong on me. He also asked why we don't buy a car, even though we can afford it, but can't afford to run it. All the financial burden falls on him, and even fuel costs are an issue. He has to support me and the child. On the way home, my husband kept complaining, criticizing me, and grumbling about the hardships of life. My child and I walked behind him, and he kept talking in front, saying it was wet and cold, and I could barely hear what he was saying, only knowing he was constantly complaining. After returning home, I told him that if you really want a divorce, you can do so anytime. If you want your mother to go back, she can go back. Don't say it's because I'm not working that you want her to leave. I'm already having difficulty finding a job, so don't blame all the bad things on me. I now feel that living with him is really exhausting.
我今年30岁了，已婚无娃，现在还失业了。
I am 30 years old this year, married, and without children, and currently unemployed. Yesterday, my husband and I had a big argument, and he finally expressed his long-held frustrations. He said that I am unsuccessful and fearful of everything, unable to do anything right, which is why I can't find a job. He also said that I am afraid of hardship and unwilling to take on 12 or 13-hour workdays. He believes that my inability to find a job is because I am married and childless, and many companies are reluctant to hire people in our situation. I have been unemployed for 3 months now, and during this time, I have been feeling very anxious. My concern is about future living expenses, as we currently have no children, but if we have children in the future, we will definitely face more expenses. My in-laws cannot provide us with any help. Our finances rely entirely on my husband's salary. I need to budget carefully every month, and my husband's entire salary is managed by me. I am 30 years old and have never bought luxury items like branded bags or clothes. I have to calculate every penny. However, my husband thinks that my life is too cheap and that I am a failure. He believes that living like this is really pathetic. In reality, I did not expect my 30s to be so disappointing, while others seem to be thriving. I feel like a complete failure.
If you are unemployed, unable to find a job, and even burdened with debt, then the next step is to face the most embarrassing reality. In that situation, you must not panic, and even more so, you should not think about making a quick comeback. If you are always hoping for someone to give you a quick way or project to turn things around, that is impossible. One more thing, the more you care about saving face at this time, the worse things will get. When you are unemployed and can't find a job, don't stay at home. Go out and continue to attend interviews, even if you are humiliated by interviewers 10 years younger than you. Drive for Didi, even if you are cursed by passengers. Work as a waiter, even if you are scolded by diners. Until you feel that your dignity has been completely stripped away, only then will you realize that unemployment and debt are not the worst things. The worst thing is that if you don't make a significant change, this situation will last a lifetime. You need to let yourself sink to the lowest level of society and learn from it. Don't always reminisce about the past, thinking that you were once a college graduate, worked in a big company, or even held a management position. That kind of thinking will only exhaust you mentally. Facing reality bravely is the first step. All the people I know who are making money now were once brutally beaten by society. The harder they were hit, the higher they bounced back. Next, you need to stop all useless social interactions. In your current situation, those willing to socialize with you are not much better off. When failures hang out with failures, it only becomes a gathering place for negative energy. If you're slightly better than them, they will resent you. If you're slightly worse, they will laugh at you. These people will only drag each other down further. You should lock yourself at home and focus on studying and researching. Whether it's learning a craft or researching a startup project, you have plenty of time to improve yourself. Many things are bad right now, but there's one good thing. The cost of learning is the lowest in history. Whatever you want to learn, it's available online and in books, and knowledge is precisely the most important resource right now. You must focus on learning as if you were in a closed-door training. In a year, you will undergo a qualitative change, and then you can start a series of new attempts. By that time, you will no longer be the person you used to be.